The Dune you read was a carefully crafted lie, a sanitized version of a much darker reality. Today, we unearth the truth that Frank Herbert tried to bury, because here is what the story actually shows, if you are willing to read it without the comfort of a hero. The spice was never humanity's path to godhood, it was always a leash, and Paul's great victory was simply the moment the leash changed hands. There is a story everyone knows, a noble family destroyed by their enemies, a boy cast into the desert, hunted, broken, and from that desert, an uprising, a prophecy fulfilled, a people freed. That is the story they told you. But underneath that story, embedded in every page, hiding in plain sight, is a different mechanism entirely. The universe of Dune runs on a single substance, one drug, produced on one planet, controlled by whoever holds that desert. The Imperium calls it the spice melange. The Bene Gesserit call it the source of ancestral memory. The Guild Navigators call it the key to safe passage through space. The Fremen call it a gift from God. Herbert's own glossary calls it something else. Severely addictive when imbibed in quantities above 2 grams daily. Every prophet, every navigator, every truth speaker in this universe was, clinically, in withdrawal management. Think about the implications of a civilization whose highest spiritual faculty is chemically induced. If the prophets can only see because of the drug, then the drug is not revealing truth. The drug is constructing it, and someone controls the drug. That is the infrastructure of the chilling reality. That is the mechanism the story hid inside its mythology. The liberation illusion begins here, with a substance so beautiful it was mistaken for godhood. So necessary, it became the architecture of an empire. So volatile, produced in one desert, by one ecosystem, on one planet, that whoever controlled it controlled everything. Not a miracle, a monopoly. And the conspiracy runs deeper than a single desert, because every institution of power in this story, every government, every religion, every navigator, every emperor, is downstream of the same pipeline. Here is the evidence, assembled from the text itself, item by item, institution by institution. Let the mechanism speak. The Spacing Guild. Without the spice, Guild Navigators cannot fold space. Without folded space, no ship travels safely between stars. Without safe travel, the entire Imperium fragments into isolated worlds. The Guild is not a transport company. The Guild is a civilization held together by a controlled substance. The Bene Gesserit. The Reverend Mothers access what they call ancestral memory through the water of life. A concentrated spice extract so extreme it kills without proper biological preparation. They're truthsayers who advise emperors, who judge the honesty of rulers, who are consulted at every decision of civilizational consequence, require spice to function, not metaphorically, biochemically. The institution entrusted with seeing truth in this universe can only see it because of the drug it is addicted to. The drug is not the tool of wisdom. The drug is the prerequisite. The Emperor. Paul himself identifies this in the text, directly. The Guild permitted Shaddam IV to mount his father's throne on one condition: keep the spice flowing. The Emperor did not inherit power. He was installed as supply chain management, given a crown to distract from the fact that the real authority was always whoever held the desert. And CHOAM, the galaxy's supreme commercial body, exists for one purpose: to manage the distribution of spice, to regulate who gets what, to ensure the pipeline never breaks. Imagine a civilization that built its navigation, its governance, its spiritual authority, and its entire economy on a single biological resource, produced exclusively in one location, by one ecological system, that could, at any moment, be threatened, or controlled, or weaponized. That civilization would be one decision away from total collapse at all times. It would need whoever controlled that location to be manageable, or it would need to become whoever controlled that location itself. Every war in the Dune universe, the Harkonnen occupation, the imperial betrayal of Atreides, the Fremen uprising, is, at its root, a resource conflict over the planet that holds the needle. They dressed it in bloodlines and prophecy, but it was always logistics. And into this infrastructure, this perfectly calibrated system of civilizational dependency, a boy falls. Not by accident, by ancient protocol. The deception runs deeper than supply chains and emperors. because the boy himself becomes the most important variable in the mechanism, and the text tells us, in his own voice, that he cannot stop what is about to happen. Here is the moment the illusion breaks, not because something unexpected happens, because something entirely expected happens, and the hero admits, in his own mind, that he cannot stop it. Paul Atreides has won. The Harkonnens are destroyed. The Emperor is broken. The Fremen armies are behind him. The spice fields of Arrakis belong to him. And in this moment of total victory, the text records his internal state with chilling precision. A sense of failure pervaded him. Not relief, not triumph. Failure. Because Paul can see the future. He has always been able to see it. And what he sees ahead of this victory is not liberation. He sees his Fremen armies moving outward from Arrakis, a religious war spreading across the universe, billions dead under a banner made from the symbol of his father's skull. And he sees something else, something the original story never fully forces you to confront. He sees that the jihad will happen without him. His legions need only the legend he has already become. He could walk away. He could die. The mechanism would run regardless. He is not the cause. He is the activation. And now the breaking point arrives. The moment the story's heroic architecture collapses, Paul turns to the Guild Navigators, the beings who can see safely through space only because of the spice, the beings whose existence is the dependency made flesh. And he says this: the power to destroy a thing is the absolute control over it. He threatens to destroy all spice production on Arrakis, forever. The shorter navigator responds with a voice stripped of all authority. You would blind yourself too, and condemn us all to slow death. Have you any idea what it means to be deprived of the spice once you're addicted? Think about what just happened. A man threatens to destroy the substance on which every prophet, every navigator, every emperor depends. Not because he wants to free them, because he wants them to understand that he holds the supply. Paul does not destroy the spice. He demonstrates the credibility of the threat. That's all he needs. And in that moment, the breaking point, the suppressed reality fully reveals itself. Paul Atreides is not the galaxy's liberator. He is its new monopolist. The hero's greatest act of power is identical in structure to every Harkonnen act of control that preceded it. The costume changed. The mechanism did not. The chilling reality is almost fully in view now. One question remains. Not what Paul did with the leash, but what the leash means for everyone who lived, and everyone who will die in the jihad that follows. 61 billion. That is the death toll of the galactic holy war that Paul's victory unleashes. Not despite his prescience, because of it. He saw the number. He chose this path because the alternatives were, by his calculation, worse. That calculation may even be correct. But a man who sees 61 billion deaths in the future and proceeds is not a messiah. He is the most consequentialist ruler in human history, wearing a prophet's face, holding a monopolist's supply chain. And here is the existential threat at the core of this story. Not the Harkonnens, not the Emperor, not even the jihad. The existential threat is the architecture, a civilization built on a single biological dependency, distributed through a predatory monopoly, dressed in spiritual language to prevent anyone from calling it what it is. That architecture did not change when Paul won. The leash is still there. The only thing that changed is whose hand holds it. The galaxy did not escape its dependency. It simply found a new supplier who was willing to wage a holy war to prove the supply was secure. That is not liberation. That is a hostile takeover. Imagine a man cursed to see every consequence of every choice he makes. Imagine that man choosing the path that kills 61 billion people. And imagine that he is the hero of the story, not because he is good, because the alternatives he saw were worse. That is the chilling reality that the original story suppressed. The system was never broken by a messiah. The system was inherited by one. Frank Herbert said he wrote Dune as a warning about the seduction of charismatic leaders, about the danger of the chosen one narrative, about what happens when a people surrender their judgment to a single voice. He was right, but the warning goes one layer deeper than even he named, because the chosen one in this story does not corrupt the system. He perfects it. He makes the supply chain more efficient, the monopoly more absolute, the dependency more total, and calls it liberation. This is what a leash looks like when it changes hands. It looks exactly like a victory. Power does not require a villain. It requires a supply chain, a dependency, and someone willing to hold the needle. The most dangerous ruler in history is not the one who wants to destroy the world. It is the one who has calculated, precisely, how many deaths make the world worth saving. The leash never breaks. It only changes hands. And the moment it changes, the new holder always calls it the same thing: freedom. If this truth touched you, smash like and subscribe for the next dark story from The Pulse.